Hello, it's Phoebe Luciano, and welcome to Cloudlamp Podcast. And if many of you don't know, this is the second time I've had recorded this. I did this earlier, at least maybe a few hours ago, and honestly, it was somewhat shit. So I'm gonna restart this all over again. And by the way, word of thumb, always get notes. Like, if you're ever doing a podcast and or a video or a skit, always get your notes out because you're going to end up rambling about San Francisco for maybe about half an hour and it's not going to make any sense. I did that this morning. It wasn't a good idea. Probably because I didn't have any clue of what to talk about. Because I made a list prior and I just didn't do it. So there's that. But now everything's good. Everything's fine. Let's get to it. And there are people outside. Is there zombie apocalypse? Mayhaps, because I wanna die. Not right now, surprisingly. I actually don't want to die. Not today. My art class was canceled. That's cool, I guess. It's always been canceled. So, let's get into it. First episode, first beginnings, and first starts. Fresh start, mayhaps, today. So, this is my new podcast, titled, as you can see, Cloudlamp Podcast. Some few starting questions. How long are these podcasts going to be? Probably at least 40 minutes, if you guys can handle that. Sometimes it could be boring, sometimes it could be good. I'm just going to generally talk about my life and see if anything like in the ordinary daily routine seems at least, exciting. And maybe talk about some current events that may have happened. That's basically it. What else do you need to know about a podcast? Not really anything else. A few people seem excited. The 4 people who voted for this on Twitter, I congratulate you and thank you. And here's your content. For the other 20 people who saw the tweet and didn't vote, then you guys are still just gonna get a podcast anyway. So there you go. There's this really racist picture up in this room that I'm in, and this is unacceptable. This is not okay. So let's get this started. First things first, can everybody please stop bugging me about driving? At least 1 out of 5 people that I see, they keep asking me, oh, hey, you know how to drive? Or hey, when are you going to learn how to drive? I don't question you on whether or not you can do your taxes or not, or whether you're feeding your dog, okay? Don't bug me about when I want to drive. So, rule number 1, stop bugging me about driving. That reminds me of that vine where it's like, I'm 11, so shut the fuck up. But first of all, why is it a bad thing that I can't drive? Why is that bad? Well, okay, I can understand why it's bad. But the thing is, like, I live in a really, really small town. It's not like it's really gonna matter anyway. For one, exercise. While y'all are getting blood clots, I can just get my legs to be super muscular. Like, wow, honestly, what a nice thing. I can finally match my imaginary wife of Serena Williams. Hell yeah. Why is it so hard for me to understand? In all honesty, I have no clue. It is just so hard for me. That is basically why I don't drive. It's just so confusing. It's really tedious for me. I don't understand why, like, there's so many levers, sharp turns. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Hopefully, when I get back for work study, I can pay for driving lessons. It's $40 a course, and there's 11 courses, which equals $440. I'm not that smart. I calculated this earlier. Only if I was that smart, maybe I'd get an actual job and get driving lessons. And then, yeah, other people tell me, well, why don't your parents teach you? Listen, don't you think that was already an option? My mom completely gave up on me, and then my dad just hasn't even tried. My sister-in-law doesn't even want to try either, so I'm just a lost case. I'm just a lost cause. There's no problem to it. So, you know what they say, when life gives you lemons, just pay for it yourself with hard, back-breaking labor. But this also brings me to my next topic. When I do walk, a lot of people stare. Why do people stare? Why is that a thing? Just constantly, I'm just walking across the street, man, and everybody that just drives next to me, they just stare. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we live in a small town and nobody sees anything. I don't know, but it's just a constant thing where people are always staring. Like, one time I was just wearing like a skirt and like knee-high socks, and some guy with his son just drove past me, just staring. And I'm like, listen, it's not that crazy. It really isn't. So I'm not quite sure. Like, do I look weird? Am I just that ugly? I'm that ugly that I stop traffic. There you go. That's exactly what happens. I feel like when you're in a small town, everybody automatically just stares. Because when I went to Berkeley one time for a concert, as I was walking down just the main street, no one was looking at each other. Everybody was just looking straight ahead. It was the wildest thing that I've ever experienced in my whole entire life. It was just such a trip. By the way, when you go to a bigger city, they are so much more advanced. Like, they look like it's basically like a utopia. They look as if they just stepped out of not Hollister. They look like they just jumped out of a like Forever 21 photo shoot. It was the most beautiful thing, beautiful people. Nevertheless, everybody was kind of quiet, so that was kind of weird. They had some really cool shops too. Like, they had this little like cute kawaii shop, and I wanted to get some stuffed animals, but you know, I guess just that's it. Am I truly weird? That's a major question. Am I truly weird? I believe it. I believe in some cases I am, but as if, I can probably blend into society. It's not that hard, I mean, currently right now, I have like my leg up in the air against the wall while I'm sitting, so. But I mean, I can blend in pretty much. I'm not like weird to the point where like I'm completely out there and stuff, but I do weird things, I suppose. But I feel like as I'm walking down the street, people shouldn't stare at me. Maybe they stare at my legs. No, not that I have anything special with my legs, but I walk pretty funny. I am pigeon-toed, so that's probably why. Just a theory. I'm not quite sure. But do people really look at that when people drive? Like, if any of you guys ever drive, do you guys look at like people, how they walk, what they wear, or is it just kind of like a quick glance and I'm the one who's really overthinking things? Who knows? Me being weird can cross over to me being very embarrassing and embarrassing things. I'm just gonna get this out there. We are all embarrassing because it's human nature. It's just things that we're not, I guess, used to, I suppose, but I feel like we overthink the whole aspect of being embarrassing because I know I definitely do. I constantly am like, oh, I didn't say that right, or oh, I didn't do this right, and I feel like I look like an idiot. But in all reality, I suppose, I feel like it's just us not being comfortable with ourselves. I'm not quite sure about that. Funny how nobody told me that the mic was very close to my mouth. That's okay. I had to restart this anyway because I thought we were having an earthquake. So I had to stop it. And I was just praying for my life. And I thought this was how the world was going to end. Maybe it's that one scene in Freaky Friday where, oh my god, what's her name? Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis just switch bodies. Did I switch bodies? Who did I switch bodies with? But I did actually feel like we had an earthquake, in all honesty. We haven't had an earthquake in a while. I'm just going to say that. Do you know what confuses me the most? When people who do live in California, that they're terrified of earthquakes. That they're just insanely terrified. My mom is like that. She can't stand earthquakes, even though they can be just like 2.4s or like a 3.5. She is just insanely terrified of them. To which I told her, why do we live here then? I feel like living in California is kind of a really big trip out of it all, because for tornadoes, you already know when they're going to come. You know at least maybe 15 minutes prior. For hurricanes, you know like days in advance that they are coming. So you gotta pack your shit and go. But I feel like for earthquakes, they're just so unexpected. Like, the earth is moving at a constant. We are gonna die. Not really. Sometimes I do have that worry that there's gonna be just another huge, large earthquake, and it's just gonna be too insane for us to handle. I'm not quite sure when that day will come, but I hope it's not anytime soon. It's really funny because I have a funny story that there's an earthquake that happened maybe really early in the morning at 5 o'clock. Is that early? Is that considered early? No, it wasn't really around 5. It was maybe around like 4. And my bed just started shaking. and I thought my bed was being possessed, or there was a ghost under my bed that was trying to scare me. I was not too happy in the morning for me thinking that some spirit was trying to kill me. Going back to our notes, love, will we ever find it? During this week, the most aesthetic holiday, but some of us that don't like this holiday, Valentine's Day, had recently passed. I forgot that it was Valentine's Day up until my first class that day. By the way, that was the only class I had that day. I feel like I need a stand for this, in all honesty. I just got a water bottle and just put my phone up against it because I'm not that rich enough to go get an actual microphone, let alone have an actual recording studio. I have to rent this out until 12:45. What do you think people actually use these for? These rooms? Probably for things like this. I'm not quite sure. Apparently people can make video calls in here, so maybe it's some high-tech secrets that people talk about through their Skype. Love, will we ever find it? I'm not quite sure about that. I don't know if I'll ever find it. I'm not quite sure about that. But I'm pretty sure everybody else will. You will. Anybody else is listening, you definitely will find love. I encourage you. I love you. You will get everything in life and you will be happy. Was that a little bit too creepy? Probably. Valentine's Day is probably the most aesthetic type of holiday that there is. I love the hearts, I love the sparkles, I love the chocolates, I love the flowers. What is there not to like? I texted my friend Luis the other day, and he said that apparently I said that I hated Valentine's Day because it's such a useless holiday, to which I responded I was probably being a bitter little bitch about that, so there you go. In all honesty, I was trying to just run through this podcast and not snip and cut and clip some certain parts, but there have been at least 5 times where I had to pause and just stop to think about my thoughts. This is still very new to me. The first podcast that I ever did in this type of format of just me recording was a lot of projects that I did in multimedia for high school. It was either me narrating things or an actual podcast that we did that I only did the opening for. And I just had to say oh, this is my podcast, here's who I interviewed and such. Other than that, it was my friend talking the whole entire time, just about her experience. I don't know. By the way, she's not even my friend, she's my ex-friend, so if you are listening to this, you're dead to me. By the way, you know exactly who you are. There are at least 5 people who are dead to me. Is that okay? I feel like it is. I feel like when you have such love in the world, you should at least hate some people. Especially the ones that are assholes. This is an ASMR podcast now. I will now provide some ASMR. I'm just kidding. A lot of people find it weird that I like ASMR, but it's so good. It sounds so good. Jesus, I cannot get over of how good ASMR sounds. Just the whispering and just hearing that aspect of them maybe touching your hair or them just feeling or clicking different parts of the camera. That is what I live for. It is what I want to achieve in life when I reach nirvana. It is beautiful. Back to Valentine's Day, or love, moreover. It's okay if you don't have anyone at the moment, because I feel the same way. So don't feel discouraged, because I still believe in you. I say this to everybody, and I feel like maybe some people are probably really annoyed by me whenever I just constantly say, I believe in you and you got this. So if there's anybody listening that, is my friend and I say this a lot and you agree, please tell me, because I am so sorry. In my notes, I see my friend Lola, she wrote on the side, because she saw my notes, because she was wondering what the hell all this was. And I said, oh, it's for the podcast that I'm making today, because I have to redo it. She said, okay. So on the side, I could see something scribbled that says, love is not real. It is a figment of imagination. Should we debate about that? I feel like technically she's right. She's right, and I don't want to say wrong, because she is right. Love is just a chemical, just like happiness. Happiness is a chemical. It's essentially what it is. We have chemicals in our brain that make us feel emotions. Isn't that crazy? That we can just feel things and we can just go through things. Isn't that the whole point of antidepressants? It's like it shuts down certain chemicals in your brain while also bringing up other certain chemicals. It's just really strange to think about, really. I'm constantly looking at the time for this podcast, and I keep wondering. I feel like the first time I did this, it went by so fast. Probably because I just rambled and I kept going and going and going. Let alone, I don't feel like anybody would want to listen to that or listen to me horribly talk about San Francisco for about 30 minutes and then get into a deep topic that I didn't even know about. So I'm bringing you at least better content. I feel like I'm more warmed up at this moment. Like, I'm more warmed up and I'm less, like, afraid to actually talk. But it should be the opposite because there are actual people in the library. I'm not quite sure, but you know. Oh, I didn't mean to say library. I'm actually underneath the Earth's core. I'm in a secret location. I'm in Antarctica. So, for all you Catholics out there, how's Lent going for you? Because right now, I wanna die. Lent sucks so much. And I'm speaking about it in terms of me. I'm not a hardcore Catholic. I really am not. I actually am agnostic, but you know, I just do Lent to appease, I guess, any other worldly force that's out there. And the rest of my family is Catholic, so let alone, let's just do it. Let's go. I gave up social media. I gave up social media and entertainment. It has been such a struggle. I try not to let these kind of things bother me. Like, oh wow, I'm such a child. Like, I grew up with technology, so now I just can't, like, stand not having it. No. I can do it. It's just hard for me to get used to it. I feel like my concentration has grown so much from then. Like, usually whenever I would do my homework, it would take me at least 10 minutes to go back and focus everything. Now, since I have nothing to really distract myself with, it takes me about maybe 3 minutes to just get readjusted and just keep going. It's like I want to get to that point of work ethic where I can just go and go and go and then just get everything done. Maybe I'll grow some more brain cells while I'm at it. Going through all these topics actually went a lot faster than the first podcast, in all honesty. I'm just really happy I redid it. It wasn't good. It was not good at all. Maybe I'm starting to think about it. Maybe I can add some background music. This is just somewhat of a test run. The original video. Maybe one day I'll look back on this and just wonder, wow, why was this so shitty? We may never know. Does everybody do that when they work? I haven't met a single person that looks back on their work and says, wow, like I really improved. Well, yeah, I actually do see that. But when people actually go back at their work and say, oh wow, like this was mine, it's usually you see, oh wow, I made this is horrible. Why do we do that to ourselves? You know, this is going to be really fun for me to cut in and cut out certain pieces. There are going to be huge long gaps of me just being incredibly silent and thinking of other things to say, because like I said, I wrote everything that I wanted to write down and I finished it all. So isn't that great? Well, in all honesty, I do like kind of editing and things like that. I've made a few compilations, or I'm currently in the making of a compilation of one of my favorite characters and just taking out all his best sassy moments. But I was supposed to be done with that by Christmas. Valentine's Day just passed. I'm so behind. I'm horribly behind. I just remembered something. I might get my book today. Yet again, since I don't have social media, I was thinking about picking up reading again and just actually focusing on that. So the library happens to get books every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So hopefully my book is in today. I wonder how soundproof these rooms are. Are they pretty soundproof? Can anybody hear me? I'm not quite sure. A girl in my art class once said, "Is water wet?" I hate that discussion so much, because let me tell you why. When people say water isn't wet, then you can just get the fact of nothing is real. It's a stupid decision. You know, I'm not even gonna have this. It's gonna just make me mad, and there's no point to having it. Water is its own thing. I hate it. It's so stupid. I feel like for me to really make better podcasts, or I assume like make them a little bit more enjoyable, I need to be in an environment that I really, really like. Because I just feel so strained, and I feel so worried that either people can hear me or I sound well, I already know I sound stupid. But just the fact of, you know, is this gonna look good? Will I be famous one day from this? I don't even know. In all honesty, I'm just making this as a little project. I've been listening to a lot of them, to other people's, and I just thought it was a good idea to do. So, there's that. It's really funny how I can just go on tangents forever and ever and ever, and now at this moment, I've run dry. What a great idea for a podcast. Running Dry, first title. Oh, you know what? I might actually do that. Yep, that's what it's gonna be. Podcast number 1. Running dry, having no idea what to talk about for the first time. Opening and closing. What is it? Oh god, what's the Vine where it's the something like, what is it? I'm in the bathroom, shower time, Adderall, a glass of whiskey, and diesel jeans. I hate that Vine so much because that guy looks like a kid that I went to school with. It just is so weird. Why is he doing that? He's so weird. I don't know if I said this earlier, but the water bottle that I'm using as a mic stand is not even my own water bottle. It's one of my friends. She accidentally left it in the library the other day. It has a lot of Jesus stuff because she's very religious, so there you go. For I know the plans I have for you. By the way, this is written on the water bottle. Declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And then it says Jur. I'm assuming what's Jur? Is it Jerusalem? Jur. What's Jur? 29:11. It really wasn't the religious type if you can't really tell. I feel like today really isn't a Friday. I feel as if that was my foot, by the way. That wasn't anybody else knocking. I feel like today isn't Friday. I feel like it's like a Tuesday. This morning it did feel like a Friday, but now it just feels so strange and out of the ordinary. But you know what I am happy about? A 3-day weekend! Yeah, I'm really happy about that. It gives me more time to not do nothing. Lately I've been taking up more like drawing and practicing because of Lent, and I feel like it's pretty good. Like, I drew some pretty good sketches last night. Correction, they weren't pretty good. I'm just saying that because I feel like that's just a stereotypical thing that everybody says. They were alright. They weren't the best. Usually my art really isn't the best, and I hate my art. Earlier today in class, I was drawing on my phone because my phone has one of those little stylus things with it that comes out of the phone. And I just thought it was horrible. I thought it was just the most horrid thing because I'm not used to drawing digital. But then as I move my hand and I get like my water bottle from my bag, a guy says, "Oh my god, like you drew that?" And I just said, "Oh yeah, I guess." So he took a picture of it and put it on Snapchat. So word of advice for everybody: when you think that you didn't do good, other people will find it amazing. I still feel like that picture was really dumb and horrible. I mean, it was just like a girl who got beat up, I guess. But yeah, there you go. I want to hear from you guys. Send me some requests of what to talk about because right now I have no idea what really to talk about. There's probably 3 main things I can just go on and on and on about are dogs, ghosts and supernatural things. Could that go with ghosts? Probably. But other than those three things, I got nothing. My life really isn't that exciting. My life really isn't that cool. I think I'll set up a curious cat on the Twitter, and then we'll see what happens from there. There you go. Maybe I'll get some people who follow me. What was it? You should really eat hummus because it gives you your total grams of trans fat and oh my god, cholesterol. I love that vine so much. By the way, if you haven't eaten hummus, that will change your life. It is the best thing. It is so good. It's made out of chickpeas, I think, but God, like I just wish I could eat like a whole freaking like container of it. It is so good. It is so good. I feel like this podcast is going to drive out a lot of people. Like this is just already horrible at the beginning. I feel like it is. You guys probably won't see it, maybe because I've edited it, but yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I'm just gonna say that. You know what my life has consisted of doing ever since I gave up entertainment? I've been watching live cams of animals and stuff. Mostly just sharks and bears and dogs, which are probably my three favorite animals. But in all honesty, it's pretty good entertainment. You just get to see animals all day. You can see them sleep, you can see them catch fish, most specifically to those bears, and you can see them just swim around. What's there not to like? You guys want to hear a funny story? About a week ago, oh god, about a few days ago, I found a dime on the floor, and this is a guy who sits next to me in my psychology class. And he's pretty good. He's pretty handsome. So I found a dime on the floor and I gave it to him and he said, "What is this?" And I said, "It's a dime." And then he said, "Ooh, girl, you dropping dimes." It was probably the most funniest thing I've ever encountered. And I talked to my friend, I talked to my friend Serenity, and she said, "Well, why'd you give him a dime?" And I said, "Because he's a 10. My skills are not that great. And in all honesty, I didn't even think about that until later. So hopefully he got that reference that he's a 10. I feel like this would be a lot easier if I had a laptop to actually record and not just my phone, because I could actually just, I guess, go on my phone and look at notes or anything, or just help myself out. But I just gotta learn how to do this. I just gotta keep going. One of my other friends, my friend Luis, he said that I guess starting this podcast is a somewhat of an outlet and or good on a resume, I suppose. But yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, if I ever improve, my logo is very bad. I made that in a matter of maybe 25 minutes because I just couldn't figure out anything. It just looks horrible, but at least I tried. It's that cake that Bart has where it says, "At least you tried." Well, I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you for tuning in to this first podcast. Hopefully you guys don't hate it. I mean, because I already do as it is. So, stay safe, be happy. I believe in you, and you got this. See you next Friday, and goodbye.